This is amazing. I have never been this close to a cow before in my life. Somewhere inside your head, there's probably already this amazing vision for your dream life. Maybe it's you quitting your job to start a business, or maybe you want to be a creative, like the designer of a product or an artist. Perhaps you've always wanted to start a side hustle from your hobby, or maybe you just really want to retire early and take it slow. You'll live and work on your own terms. You'll be rich, not just in terms of money, but also time and happiness. You'll be excited to meet each new day. So then, what's holding you back? The reality is, most people won't take action. They'll stay in jobs they don't find fulfilling, avoid risk, play it safe, wait and see. It's understandable. Doing what you truly want is scary. Quitting a job is scary. Starting a business that may flop is scary. Trying to make it as a creative artist is scary. We've all had those thoughts. What if I fail? What will other people say? What if something bad happens? What if I lose everything? Fear of failure, fear of change, fear of the unknown and uncertainty. Unless your current circumstances is straight up pure hell, it probably feels so much easier to just roll along day after day. You might even indulge in optimistic hallucinations such as, I'll grow to like the job more with time, or I'll get a raise and things will improve. And just like that, you do nothing forever. And that is a truly frightening thought. If we look at the successful people around us, what they all have in common is that they all had those same fears, but they didn't let that stop them from taking action to get rich. Feel the fear, do it anyway. If you want to break out of the system, or if you want to build some kind of independent income for yourself, you need to overcome the fears that hold you back. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying those fears are silly. They're genuine concerns. We have all felt the same way before. But the thing is, you can learn to manage or minimize such fears, or at least understand your fears or why they're there, and try to navigate around them so they don't stop you from achieving the dream life you truly want and getting rich. So let's chat about a few practical steps to do this. First is really sitting down and writing out all of your fears and defining them concretely. It's important for you to understand that there are two kinds of fears. There are the real fears, the valid, logical concerns that you have, and then there's the irrational fears, those vague, scary shadows lurking at the edges of your imagination. Learn to look your fears straight on and to distinguish them. Once you do, chances are the real fears aren't usually as big and scary and difficult to overcome as you thought they might be, and the shadows can just be eliminated. To illustrate, some years ago, I quit my big law corporate job. I wanted to try to live life a different way and ideally on a tropical beach somewhere. It was frightening. I wanted to quit and leave so badly. Some of my stuff I could sell, but I also had an ongoing mortgage and my whole life in Singapore and my family, my parents. I had all these fears circling around in my head endlessly, like, what if I quit and something really bad happens and suddenly I'm homeless and jobless and a complete failure and everyone else who never quit in the first place gloats at me and I end up being that cautionary tale in society? Or here's another one. What if I quit and rent out the apartment to pay for the mortgage and interest rates skyrocket while rents drop and my savings run out, I become penniless and lose the property to the bank? Or what if I quit, but then I get sick and I have to be hospitalized and medical bills mount up and I become a burden to my family and it all ends, literally, pathetically for me. For you, looking at my fears, you can probably easily identify that the first one is that vague, scary, irrational fear, whilst the second and third ones are the real logical concerns that have and can be dealt with. The chances that there'll be a confluence of all things bad at the same time overnight to hit me so quickly that I have no time to react and that my savings deplete immediately and I lose my property is really, really small. And even if I am jobless but I need money, I've got a healthy mind and body, plus an excellent academic and work record, and I should always be able to figure something out. Next, once you've banished the scary vague shadows and you're confronted with the valid genuine concerns, try to come up with an action plan to deal with them. You can try to prevent those concerns from arising in the first place, or take steps to minimize the damage they might cause, or perhaps have a plan B to handle the fallout just in case. Tim Ferriss, that guy who wrote that book about the 4-hour work week, I'm sure you've heard of him, that was a huge phenomenon. He coined the term fear setting for doing just such a mental exercise. This is the 3-page PDF from Tim's TED Talk about fear setting. The first page is where you set up what's the scary thing that you want to do, and then you define all of the worst case scenarios that could possibly result. And then you go on to look at what preventative or reparatory step you might be able to do if this worst case scenarios actually resulted. The second page is simply where you consider what might be the benefits of an attempt or even just a partial success. And the last page, asking yourself to look at the cost of inaction, emotionally, physically, financially, etc., for varying periods of like 6 months, a year, 3 years. So simple, but so powerful. Doing this exercise can essentially help you to decide whether you should or shouldn't do that scary thing. Before we go on to the last practice, here is a quick word about Skillshare, who is the sponsor of today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes on an amazing variety of topics. I first came across Skillshare whilst exploring online filmmaking classes that could help make me a more engaging storyteller. Hopefully. So first, the quality of the classes on Skillshare really impressed me. Then, on further exploration, I also realized that the way Skillshare curates its content makes it super relevant for someone like me, someone who's trying to grow as an independent person living a life away from the system. For example, take this class I just completed recently, Out of the Start, Turning Ideas into High-Growth Businesses by Guy Kawasaki. It shares a completely different level perspective about building a brand new business from scratch from an idea. For example, Guy's proposition that we could move from a new business idea on the table to getting the idea or the product out to potential customers within 24 hours to test for market response. It's really different from usual business approaches, but just makes so much sense and offers so much benefit if you do things that way. Vitaly and I are always thinking about potential ideas to maybe start something new, and classes like this are an amazing resource. Because Skillshare is sponsoring this video today, if you are one of the first 1,000 viewers to click on that link in the description below, you get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So you can explore Skillshare's entire class library online for 1 month, absolutely free if you're interested. Last is practicing in your daily life, actually doing whatever small daily things that it is that you might be fearful of, despite the fear. Baby steps with everyday things. The idea is that you build up this strong mental habit of dealing with your imagined fears, of managing and overcoming it and not just giving into it and letting it control what you do. Fear exists everywhere in our lives, even with the small daily stuff that's supposed to be non-scary. You know, for example, like the fear of public speaking, and then there's the fear of heights, the fear of embarrassing yourself in public. To some people, these things are no big deal. But for those who feel such fear in their heads, you know, it really builds up into a huge struggle until you kind of force yourself to just do it, and then you're like, oh, that was okay, really. Why did I work myself up into such a frenzy before? And I assure you, when you actually do it, each and every time, you feel so much stronger for it, and it really does get easier to do it all over again. The biggest challenges we will face in life will never be solved by easy solutions or comfortable conversations, but often those hard things we have to say or do are the most crucial steps for a successful life. This has become even more urgent in the last couple of years because so much of the world has changed in so little time, and we're all living in such high-stress circumstances these days, with so much trumped-up fear around us, manufactured by corporations and governments for their own agenda. A huge priority for many people right now is to become financially free. to be able to have as many options as possible before it's too late. But you can't get there if you're too afraid to take any action at all in the first place. So I hope this video will help you to take those first steps towards action to grow the wealth in your life, whether be it in terms of money, time, or happiness, step by step. If you think other people will benefit from the message in this video, hit that like button because that really sends a message to the YouTube algorithm to get this video about overcoming fear out to reach other people like you, all of whom are striving for freedom. We hope for this space to become a positive community for all of us to grow together and to encourage each other towards a life of abundance. So if you're comfortable to do so, please share with us what are some of the scary things that you would like to do and what fears you might have surrounding that. And perhaps what your plans are for overcoming those fears. Lastly, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon so you don't miss our future videos. See you around. Bye!